Hey everyone, you're about to watch a clip from Journo Insights. I was here with Neil Jones talking about Sven Mislintat, Liverpool's interest in perhaps in a new sporting director and what that means for Jurgen Klopp and his potentially growing role at the club in terms of influence. So yeah, check this one out. Again, let's move on then away from this. Is going back to our mate Pletty goal again and the Sky Sports Germany. It was announced, reported yesterday about Sven Mislintat, Liverpool sporting director role interests the former Arsenal head of recruitment. He's leaving Stuttgart. I think that's been announced. We had a question again in the Group Legend Discord. I can tie this one in. This is from our Kumar, who says, "Is there any truth in these Mislintat rumours?" The one of this is, and Josh Williams from Distance Covered was on with Chris on Monday, and he basically said the thing with sporting directors is usually they get to choose the manager. Whoever comes in now is going to be Jurgen's going to have a say. Yeah. And I'm not sure it's his boss. I'm not sure how the structure was quite going to work, but basically the head of recruitment or whatever we call this guy, a sporting director, Jurgen's going to have a say in it. And this is kind of the first hint at that. Someone who's worked together before at Dortmund, they've had a relationship. The reason why Nat Phillips ends up at Stuttgart apparently was because Jurgen got on the phone. True. Yeah, Jurgen gets on the phone to Sven Mislintat and offers him, and it worked out for both parties. I don't know if that's a good thing or not. I don't know if hiring your mate to be the guy who's meant to be who's meant to be the one arguing against you, almost all help. I don't know how it all works, but again, I don't know how much truth's in this one. If there's been conversations, I'm sure you can let us know what you know. Yeah. But it does feel like it's just, again, this is sometimes how these models can go wrong. When it's, I don't know, it feels a bit odd that signing the manager's mate in that role. I don't know what your thoughts on it are.
Yeah, well, we talked about it earlier. The obvious thread is that people think Jurgen's going to is running the club. I think that's sort of, at this moment in time, you've got Julian Ward leaving, you've got Mike Gordon step back, you've got Ian Graham. I mean, listen, I don't think we should overplay that element in terms of the day-to-day running of the club. Ian Graham fed into an operation and had a very big part to play in it, but it wasn't. I don't think it was sort of like, the manager wants something, but Ian Graham tells him, I don't think there was that kind of authority there.
Hey everyone, pardon the interruption. Just going to introduce now a short clip from the Last Fan Standing show. So yeah, Last Fan Standing is out every single week on the YouTube channel. The link is in the description below. So yeah, check out a clip from this week's action.
I do think Phil Foden's an incredibly talented player, and for me, he has to start in the England team. Hearing Gareth Southgate come out the other day and say, he doesn't play through the middle for his club. Mate, Harry Maguire doesn't play for Manchester United. He isn't the team. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. I just want this manager to sometimes think of things for himself and try and come up with a solution or come up with something that gets his best players in the team. And for me, Phil Foden is that, especially then when you take into consideration Mason Mount isn't performing. I'm not Mason Mount's biggest fan, but there are times where he has performed and you think, you know what, he's got his spot on merit. This isn't one of those times. So I do feel Phil Foden, for me, has to come in, and I'd probably play the same front three as Lee.
Right then, there you go, a clip from this week's Last Fan Standing show. Like I say, if you want to watch the whole show, the link is in the description below. Go and check it out after you've continued watching the end of my chat with Neil Jones.
But Sven Mislintat, the timing of him leaving, obviously just at this moment, sort of, it's obvious sort of string. I think Pletty goal. We keep on Pletty goal. Florian Plettenberg's
I'll come Pletty goal. I think he'd like that. That's
do you think? Well, that's his brand, yeah, I suppose. Yeah.
I might start calling you Neil Jones goal.
Yeah. Maybe not. I think his thing was he would be open. Sven Mislintat would be open to it. It's like, yeah, again, a little bit like, of course, but yeah, it's important to say that he. It's easy to sort of, with sporting directors, that you always pick out, he was responsible for blah, 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 blah. Dortmund, with Jurgen Klopp, it was certainly not a two-man show. It was certainly not a one-man show. You had Michael Zorc, you had Aki Vachka, you had other people in positions that, Dortmund was a real sort of team effort in terms of that, and some real big hits in that time with Lewandowski being probably the biggest of them all, but, Goetze, Marco Reus, Aubameyang, Ousmane Dembele was obviously one that they made a big profit on. Kagawa, spotting players like that. That isn't there at Liverpool at the moment. It would need more for that. If you were looking to replicate that kind of success, Klopp and Mislintat was a dream team. You'd need a few more elements to it to make it sort of the same as what it was. I know he had a difficult time at Arsenal in a bit of a, would you say it was a similar situation? You know,
ownership
doubts over the ownership and, you know,
I've got a list actually of some
outgoing like director of football or football executives. There was a lot that they weren't on the same page, and yeah, you got a list of some of his failures at Arsenal.
No, well, good one. So you done the Aubameyang, which worked out well for Arsenal until it never. But then like Mkhitaryan didn't really work well. Bert Leno was all right, but he decided to replace him. Socrates, Lucas Torreira, Guendouzi. Yeah, it's not like a who's who of Arsenal's current team. And now Arsenal have moved away, and they've
wasn't a classic Arsenal era, was it, of players?
Yeah.
I know he's very highly regarded in Germany. I know Nat Phillips spoke very highly of him when I remember he was on loan there. And I just, you know, something sticks in your mind. He just mentioned Sven how great he'd been since he joined, and it was in the pandemic, just the beginnings of the pandemic, and just talking about how, you know, duty of care that the club had shown, and even, you know, clearly Mislintat was the conduit for Phillips ending up in Stuttgart. You know, when people sort of look and go, now Phillips is Stuttgart, you know, yeah, there's the sort of, there's the thread that you pull out. Jurgen sort of got on the phone, or has been speaking about Stuttgart needing a centre back, and said, well, I've got one here, you know, and it'd be a great move for you and whatever. So definitely one to keep an eye on Liverpool wise, but like I said, the doubt I'd have is sort of what else is around that structure. You know, it's not, I don't think it's a question of sort of, yeah, he gets Sven Mislintat and him and Jurgen will just take on the world together. I don't think it's
more to come.
It feels to me like more than that around it.
You hinted at it before. This will feel, and again, this is from my personal point of view, if it is someone like Sven Mislintat, it will feel like Jurgen's getting more power or more. He's going to have a bigger say in what goes on. And again, there's pros and cons to this. The man who, without Jurgen, none of this works. But we've seen this before, where the manager gets powerful and before, you know, Ferguson, and he leaves, and you're like, oh my god, everything relied on him. He's like taking the cornerstone out in a row. Like, that's the worry about.
I think you're going to say he's taking the corners.
Yeah, but if he wants
that would be a big.
That's but he puts himself right wing. That's the. But I suppose, and again, I'm going down maybe on a tangent here, but like, the owners are leaving anyway, so it's going to be changing anyway, so it might have to change. So if you need in all this uncertainty, you need something, and if Jurgen's that something, then that's what makes it understandable.
Well, I mean, listen, the briefing point around Julian leaving was that Jurgen and Billy Hogan are going to lead the sort of process of identifying what model to go forward. Now, Sven Mislintat coming to Liverpool feeds that the model and tells you what the model is, doesn't it? The model is leave it to me and my boys will sort it. But there's a huge sort of, you know, caveat around it, in that, well, what happens if the owners have sold by the time it leaves? And, you know, the model is actually, we just go and buy the best players in the world, or whereas the model is, we're not going to buy players, you know, we'll be fine. We've got, what do you need new players for? So that changes who you need, doesn't it? In the sense of, you know, your model might just be sort of, we don't need a director of football because we're just going to pay 250 million for whatever player we need, and, you know, Todd Bowley sort of, we'll do it. I'll do it myself. You know, that could be it. So there's a lot of parts moving around this, but I'm not surprised at all to see him linked, especially given that he's leaving his current role, and, you know, that notice period, or sort of the what's it called, the like garden leave almost, it could be, couldn't it? But where it's sort of, he might have I think in his contract that 6 months is the time before he can take another job. So he's leaving ahead of the summer. There's a lot to point towards that he's got a chance of being there, I would say.
Yeah. Hey, hope you enjoyed that. If you want to watch the entire Journo Inside show, go and check it out. It's streaming right now on redmenplus.com. We talk transfer, we talk Gakpo, Kudos, Casado, and tons more. So yeah, head on over to redmenplus.com and check out the entire show now.
Thank you so much for joining us on this video. Do drop a like and share it on social media if you enjoyed. And if you want more from us, please do consider joining Redmen Plus, our Liverpool streaming service. Get access to documentaries about Liverpool legends, past and present, interviews with Liverpool legends, past and present, and more Redmen shows each and every week in video and in podcast. It's redmenplus.com.